Okay, I'm going to read you a letter that is 120 years old. And it was written by, it was started by an 8-year-old girl who asked a question. So if you are 15 years old, I challenge you to think of something you could write that people will be thinking about and talking about 120 years from now. If you're not that old yet, I challenge you to do what Virginia did, and that is ask a question that has people thinking about that question for 120 years. Thousands of people every year read this letter and think about it. And you'll be talking to somebody and they'll say, "Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus," because they're referring to this 120-year-old letter. So you could think up a question like hers. Her question was, "Is there a Santa Claus?" Your question could be something like, "Why is the sky blue instead of green?" Okay, so here's the letter. Dear editor of the paper, I'm 8 years old and some of my little friends say there is no Santa Claus. Maybe I should interrupt at this point. When I was 5 years old, there was a little girl next door named Susie Smith. And I don't know how come I know this, but I do know that her kisses tasted like apples. I don't know whatever happened to Susie Smith, but her kisses tasted like apples. So one day I went to my mama and I said, "Susie Smith says there's no Santa Claus." And my mom says, "Well, Nathan, I say there is. So who are you gonna believe?" And I said, "I think I'll believe Susie Smith." And that's why I'm messed up today. I chose the wrong path. I chose to believe a little girl. I don't even know where she is anymore. There was nothing about her except kisses that tasted like apples. I chose to believe her instead of my mom. So the little girl writes to the paper and says, "My dad says that if I see it in the paper, then it is true." Now, in 120 years, we've learned that just ain't so anymore. We don't believe it anymore. We've had the worst president in U.S. history. We've had the second worst epidemic in world history. And one of the reasons it's so bad is because we've had such a bad president. I haven't had anybody in my house here for 8 months. Been all alone. Here I am alone on Christmas Eve, alone with my sweetheart, Donna. But, we can't be with anybody else for fear of catching the disease. All right. So she wants to know, tell me the truth. Is there a Santa Claus? And they write back to Virginia O'Hanlon. Virginia, your little friends are wrong. They have been affected by the skepticism of a skeptical age. They do not believe a thing unless they can see it. Now, that's what skepticism means. If you can't see it, you don't believe it. That's skeptical. They think that nothing can exist that is not comprehensible by their little minds. Now, all minds are little, Virginia. Whether they are grown-up minds or children's minds, they're all little. In this great universe of ours, man is an insect, a tiny ant in his intellect, his brains, compared with the endless universe that's out there. So how can we grasp all of truth and knowledge? So yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love exists. Now, honestly, have you ever seen love? You've seen acts of love, I hope, but you ain't seen love. Or he exists as certainly as does generosity. Have you ever seen generosity? You've seen acts of generosity, but you have never seen generosity. You can't see it. Or devotion, loving God. You can't see it. You can act it, but you can't see love of God. So we know these things are out there and they give life its highest beauty and joy. And I ask you, how dreary would the world be if there was no Santa Claus? It would be as dreary as if there were no Virginia O'Hanlon. That would be ugly. No Virginia O'Hanlon in the world. There would be no childlike faith, no poetry, no romance to make tolerable our existence. Now you want to look at your poor mama. Every morning gets up and fixes you clowns breakfast and tries to tidy up the house, tries to read a little bit of scriptures, and you crabby kids are, where's my teacher? And like, how does she get along? Well, a little bit of poetry, a little bit of childlike faith, a little bit of romance goes a long way to making it possible to put up with you kids. Okay, so the eternal light with which childhood fills the world, that eternal light would go out if there were no Santa Claus. Not believe in Santa Claus? You might as well not believe in fairies. You might get your dad to hire men to watch all the chimneys on Christmas Eve to catch Santa Claus. But even if they didn't see him coming down a chimney, what would that prove? Nobody sees Santa Claus. You can't see love. That's no sign that there is no Santa Claus or that there is no love. The most real things in the world are things that neither children nor adults can see. Did you ever see fairies dancing on the lawn? Well, no, but that's no proof that they are not dancing on the lawn. Nobody can imagine all of the wonderful things out there that cannot be seen in the world. Now, you can tear apart a baby's rattle and see what makes the noise inside, but you cannot get into the unseen world. Not even the strongest man of all the strongest men ever lived could tear apart. Only faith, fancy, poetry, love, and romance can push aside that curtain and look inside the supernatural beauty and glory beyond us. Is all of that real, Virginia? Yes, in all this world there is nothing else real and abiding other than love, generosity, devotion, poetry, romance, and Santa Claus. No Santa Claus? Well, thank God he lives. He lives forever. 1,000 years from now, Virginia, 10 times 10,000 years from now, he will continue to make glad the hearts of little children. So, and it could be that 10 times 10,000 years from now, people are going to be reading that letter to Virginia. And when somebody will, want to know, is there such a thing as love? Somebody will say, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. And now you know where that comes from. It comes from that letter there. You can't imagine, you know what it's like? Okay, I'll tell you. My life is full of gifts from Santa Claus. We got little Timmy. What an amazing gift that little booger is. And we got Emmett, and we got Ian. Ian is so smart. And then we got Claire, that lovely Claire, the assistant to the assistant to the mother. She's not the assistant mother, she's assistant to the mother. And then we got Alex. He's one very smart cookie. And then we got little Liam. Isn't he a cute little bugger? And Chloe and Kayla. Can you imagine? I got dressed up like Santa Claus last year and put Kayla on my lap. And I really see, this is what I miss about this year, is that this year would have been 50 years that I put Damon on my lap. And so there's a picture of me dressed up like Santa Claus holding Damon on my lap with a bottle. He's sucking a bottle. And then now there's a picture of me and Chloe, but that's only 49 years of me and Kayla. I was hoping to catch Chloe this year sitting on my lap as Santa Claus, because that would be exactly 50 years. Can't happen. And then Damon's got these amazing kids. Jacob, he's this brilliant guy. You should hear him sing. And Eli, well, we're not going to talk about Eli. And then we got Annalise. She is just this beautiful young woman going to college back east all by herself. Went to France and lived for a year all by herself as a high school kid. And then these magnificent twins, Catriel and Juliet. Juliet's like this world-class rower, on a boat. She rows really fast. And Catriel is this outstanding bassoon player. All over 3 states, they know Catriel's bassoon playing. So, you know what? All of that is like this huge gift from Santa to me. And that's what you are. You are evidence to me that there is a Santa Claus. I love you guys. Bye-bye.